Hi there, it's Mrs. Gifford, and I am here to talk to you and teach you a little bit about some of the content that we are learning about in our math lesson 6.1. So some of this might seem like a little bit of review for you, but pay attention because you might learn something new. So first thing I want to go over is our math mountains here. So I want you to take a second and to think about what do each of these numbers represent? And what do we call each of these numbers? So let me ask you first, which of these numbers are the addend? If you need a second to pause the video, you can pause it and think about that. And I'm going to label it here on our board. So our addends are going to be these two numbers here. So on my board, it's our 70 and our 40. So those are our addends. But if someone were to ask you, what's an addend? Like, how would you define an addend? What do you think you might say? So I have defined an addend for us. So an addend is one of two numbers that are added to make a total. Okay? And then a sum is the result of adding, which is also known as the total. So then looking back at our board here, if our 70 and our 40 are the addends, which number is going to be the total? It's going to be our 110. So I'm going to label that here with a T for total. Now, when we have these addends and a total in our math mountain, we can do all sorts of different equations with them. So, for example, you probably already thought of this one. 70 plus 40 equals 110. Yeah. But then we could also do 40 plus 70 equals 110. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to think about if you can make even more equations on your own. You can pause the video if you want and start writing some down if you can think of some more. And then I'm going to write some more on the board here too. All right, welcome back. So now I've got some more equations written here on the board. And you might notice as we get down here to the bottom two is I've used some subtraction in there as well. Now, what I want you to think about is if I were to label these equations like I did with my math mountain, does it matter which order these numbers go in? So which ones would be the addends and which ones would be the total? So for this one, 70 plus 40 equals 110. My addend is going to be 70 and 40, and my total is 110. Now let's look at the next one. I know that my 40 is an addend and my 70 is an addend, so I'm going to label those addend plus addend equals our total. Now we're switching things up a little bit here. So if it's on the left side of the equal sign, does that automatically make it an addend? No, it doesn't. So 110 is still going to be our total, even though it's on the left side of the equal sign. So I'm going to label that my total. I'm going to get a new red marker. Well, it'll be pink because my red one wasn't working very well. But I'm going to label my 70 and my 40. Those are still addends. They're still the two numbers that are being added up to get to the total. Same with this one here. Our 40 is still an addend, our 70 is still an addend, and our 110 is still a total. Now let's look at these bottom two. So if my 40s were addends all the way up here, do you think that the 40 here is also going to be an addend? Let's think about it. Well, we know from our math mountain that our 40 and our 70 is an addend, and it didn't really matter what order they went in, they were still addends. So I'm going to say my 40 is still an addend, my 110 is still a total, and my 70 is also still an addend because we know if we do that 70 plus that 40, it's still going to give us the total of 110. We've just switched it up a little bit because we know with our math mountains, if we go total minus an addend, we get our other addend, right? If we do total minus this addend, we'll get this addend. So we'll go to the bottom one as well, label those. We know our 70 is still an addend, even though it's on that left side of the equal sign. Our 40 is still an addend, and then our 110 is still our total. Now, these math mountains and knowing the definition of an addend and a total are going to help you as you continue on and you do math word problems having to do with addition and subtraction. Now, there are a few different types of word problems, and I'm going to go over 4 of them with you today and give you some examples. So the first one up here is add to. So an example of that is Mrs. Gifford bought 40 new pencils for her class. Someone donated 70 more pencils. How many pencils does the class have now? Now, when you're reading a word problem and trying to determine what it's trying to ask you, make sure that you're looking for those key words. So in this one, Mrs. Gifford, me, I had 40 pencils to start with, and then someone added to those 40 pencils to make more pencils. So I had 40, someone added that 70, and then it's asking how many do I have now after someone has added to it. Okay, the next one is a take from problem, which might sound a little self-explanatory. It basically is when someone is taking from. So the example here says Mrs. Gifford had 110 pencils for her class. She passed out 40 of them. How many does she have now? So this take from problem is one where it gives us the total first, how many she had first, and then she took away some of them by passing them out. And then you're going to want to figure out how many she has left after some has been taken from it. The next one is a put together problem. And the example here says, Will has a collection of 80 rocks. His friend has a collection of 50 rocks. How many do they have altogether? Now, this one's really similar to the add to problem, but it's just another way to think about it. If one person has something and the other person has something and they're putting it together, it wants to know how many they have altogether. And then the last one is a take apart problem. So this one is also really similar to the take from problem. And it says Skylar has 130 books in boxes. He puts 50 books on one shelf and the rest on another. How many books are on the other shelf? So this one, again, gives you the total to start with, and then it's separating them. It's taking them apart. He's putting some of it on one shelf, some on the other. So it's asking you to take those numbers apart to find the total. If you want to pause the video now and solve any of these problems or all of these problems, you may. All right, the last thing that I want to go over with you is the equal sign and the not equal sign. So let me show you what those look like. You already know what the equal sign means. So the equal sign means that it's equal. So it doesn't even really matter which side of the equation that it's on, because 4 plus 3 equals 7 means the same thing as 7 equals 4 plus 3. Now, the not equal sign just looks like an equal sign with a slash through it, and that just means that it's not equal. So 2 plus 6 does not equal 7. And just like the equal sign, it doesn't matter if it's on this side of the equation or this side of the equation, because 7 does not equal 2 plus 6. So now that you've learned what that not equal sign looks like, I'm going to show you what that might look like in a problem that you might have to solve. So on this one, for example, you have blank plus 30 does not equal 90. So for this math sentence to be true, you basically just have to fill in the blank with any number that when added to 30 would not equal 90. So it might be helpful to know what plus 30 does equal 90, just so you can know to avoid that one number. So you can use your math mountain here. We know that 90 is going to be our total. 30 is one of our addends. And then our other addend, we don't know yet. So if I know that 30 plus this equals 90, with our math mountain, I also know that 90 minus 30 equals the other addend. So if I do 90 minus 30, that will give me 60. Because if you know that 9 minus 3 equals 6, you know that 90 minus 30 equals 60. So now I know that I can put any number in that box besides 60, and that sentence will be correct. So if I put 70 plus 30 does not equal 90, that is a true sentence. Now, what if we changed that not equal sign into an equal sign? Then all we would have to do is find that missing addend, which we did already using our math mountain, and we would change that to a 60, and now this math sentence is correct. 60 plus 30 equals 90. All right, well, that's it from me. I hope that is helpful for you as you are completing your assignments. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can email me. You can request to have a Zoom meeting with me. I'm going to be available on Zoom from 1 to 2 every day. So if you need my help, please, please, please let me know. All right, have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.